An armed robbery attempt unfolded Friday afternoon in Barranquilla, but ended within seconds when the intended victim fought back. According to security camera footage, two suspects riding a motorcycle approached a businessman outside a supermarket in the Villa Santos neighborhood, near the intersection of Carrera 51B and Calle 106. As a store employee was loading groceries into the vehicle, the motorcycle passenger drew a firearm and threatened the victim. The businessman, who was legally armed, responded immediately by pulling his own weapon and firing in self-defense. The suspects fled the scene on the motorcycle without taking any property. Authorities are reviewing the footage and continuing efforts to identify the suspects. A robbery attempt was stopped within seconds after a cashier and a customer acted quickly and decisively. According to accounts of the incident, a masked suspect entered the store, brandished a firearm, and announced a robbery. The suspect forced a young male customer toward the counter and demanded money from the cashier. The cashier remained calm and waited for the suspect to move closer. When an opportunity presented itself, she deployed pepper spray directly into the suspect's face. The suspect reacted by firing the weapon, but no one was struck. As the suspect was momentarily blinded, the customer rushed forward, tackled him to the ground, disarmed him, and restrained him. The cashier assisted in subduing the suspect until the threat was neutralized. A family was targeted in an armed robbery attempt while preparing for a trip, but the attack was disrupted when an armed resident intervened. According to preliminary reports, a car carrying multiple suspects entered the property as family members were loading luggage into their vehicle. Two suspects restrained an elderly man, while another forced a woman inside the house and demanded money and valuables. Moments later, a male resident emerged from the home, partially dressed and carrying a revolver. He fired shots in defense of his family, causing the suspects to panic. The attackers immediately retreated, re-entered their vehicle, and fled the scene. A beer theft attempt was stopped after a store clerk intervened and used pepper spray on one of the suspects. According to reports, two individuals entered the store, took beer without paying, and attempted to leave. As they headed toward the exit, the clerk deployed pepper spray, striking one suspect and stopping him at the doorway. The second suspect fled the scene on foot. The affected suspect was restrained and pulled back inside the store, where the clerk activated the alarm and contacted authorities. An attempted armed robbery at a transaction office was stopped after a security guard and several customers intervened. According to authorities, a masked suspect entered the office and threatened staff with a firearm, demanding mobile phones, cash, and jewelry. As the suspect moved further inside the premises, the on-duty security guard responded by firing in self-defense. The gunfire forced the suspect to retreat toward the exit. Before he could flee, a customer tackled him against a wall, knocking the weapon from his hands. Other customers quickly assisted in restraining the suspect until police arrived. A robbery attempt at a jewelry store inside a busy shopping mall was foiled after a security guard intervened. According to preliminary information, 4 suspects carried out a coordinated operation. A man and a woman initially entered the store posing as customers, while 2 other suspects remained outside acting as lookouts. Moments later, the man wearing a white shirt and the woman drew weapons and threatened store employees. The man in white rushed behind the counter and attempted to seize jewelry and cash. Surveillance footage shows employees being ordered to comply as the suspects targeted valuables inside the store. The situation changed when an on-duty security guard emerged from the rear of the store and confronted the suspects. The guard fired his weapon, overpowering the attackers. The sudden intervention caused the suspects to panic and hide under the counter, where they were detained shortly afterward. An off-duty federal agent exchanged gunfire with armed suspects during a robbery attempt late at night. According to police, the incident occurred around 9:30 p.m. as a couple was sitting inside a Ford Fiesta. A grey vehicle stopped nearby, and 3 armed men exited and surrounded the car, demanding personal belongings. Unaware that one of the occupants was a federal agent, the suspects were met with immediate resistance. The agent drew his firearm and fired in self-defense, resulting in a brief exchange of gunfire. One suspect, identified by authorities as Agustin Alexander Gomez, was apprehended at the scene. The remaining suspects fled, leaving behind their wounded accomplice. Police are continuing efforts to identify and locate the other individuals involved. A knife-related robbery occurred at a retail store, but was quickly brought to an end due to the swift response of a young female store owner. According to initial reports, a suspect suddenly entered the store, brandished a knife, and demanded cash. Recognizing the danger, the store owner moved away from the most hazardous area, while the suspect focused on taking the money. She then exited the store to call for help. Shortly afterward, she returned and confronted the suspect. When the suspect pointed the knife at her, the young store owner kicked the weapon away and recovered the stolen cash, effectively ending the robbery. The suspect fled the scene. No injuries were reported, and authorities are investigating the incident.